Hello, and welcome to In the Know Women Show. I'll be stepping aside again in order for former guest Isabel Nixon Klein, an actress, filmmaker, and now Lord Franzanian star to guest host. She'll interview the creator of this spectacular, not to mention splendid vaudevillian show that ran several weekends in Olympia. So it gives me great joy in having guest Elizabeth Lord on today, a very fun creator of unique entertainment experiences here in Thurston County area. Thank you for tuning in, and now on with the show.
Hello and welcome to In the Know Women Show. I am your guest host for this episode. My name is Isabel Nixon Klein, and I have appeared on the show before as a guest myself, so I am stoked to be here. And I am here with Elizabeth Lord. I want to start off chatting about a creative endeavor of yours that I was able to experience firsthand, Lord Franzanian's Royal Olympian Spectacular Vaudeville Show. I want to ask about the title.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Well, I want to back up just a little bit. The storyteller in me has to tell you a little bit of history with the Franzanian show. In early aughts, 2000, 2001, and 2, myself and some others produced a local Olympia performance festival. It was a 3-day, 7-venue performance festival.
Wow.
And it included all kinds of different performance, except for rock bands. Felt like there was already enough festivals for rock bands. So, and we called it Big Show City. And by the 3rd year, our volunteerism was down, and I was the only one putting on this festival, and it was a lot of work. Well, the festival made some money, and there was a bank account and a nonprofit created, and by the 4th year, I didn't feel like I could do it by myself. And I kept thinking, what if I could just do, instead of 3 days, maybe just 1 day? And then I thought, well, maybe instead of 7 venues, just 1 venue. And then I thought, well, maybe it could just be 1 night, a performance festival in 1 night, in 2 hours. And then I realized what I was thinking of was a variety show. And I did research on vaudeville shows from the early part of the 20th century. And I learned that the producers of these vaudeville shows wanted to make sure everyone knew whose show it was. And they always had to one-up each other with how incredible and spectacular it was. So my friend Mark and I, Mark Franzen, and myself, Elizabeth Lord, we put our names into the title and made light of how fantastic it was. So we added lots of adjectives. So it's the Lord Franzanian Royal Olympian Spectacular Vaudeville Show, in the tradition of the early vaudeville shows of the 20th century.
That's a great title. It definitely, I think that title definitely draws a crowd.
Oh, good.
It helps. I've seen the posters for this show for the past 2 years that I've lived in Olympia personally, and I wasn't able to ever get down and see the show, but when I saw this year that there was auditions happening, it caught my eye, and I said, I have to audition. I have to do this.
I'm so glad you did.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a blast. So let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of acts that were there this year. Maybe a little review, a couple things that stuck out. I know you perform as Lord Franzanian.
Yep.
Right? Do you always perform in this character for the show?
I do, yeah. Mr. Lord Franzanian has made an appearance in every show.
Good.
From random costume items I found years ago. And it's fun to masquerade as a different person on stage. Oftentimes the young people that see the show don't realize that guy on stage dancing around was me. And that's always fun as a performer to become someone new.
Yeah. And Tell me a little bit about the audiences for the show and how they react to this kind of vaudeville performance in Olympia. What's the community reception to the show?
I think there's a great amount of excitement for the unknown. What's going to happen this year? And there always is an act that is a bit of a, maybe a shocker. And we certainly had some visually interesting acts in this year's show. This year's show, different from previous, focused more on sketches and comedy routines. In years past, we've had greater variety with different kinds of physical talents shown, like juggling and acrobatics and things of that nature.
And how long has this progressed? How long has this show been around?
This year marked our 18th show, 18th run.
Wow.
Yeah.
18 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah. And have you kept it going? Has it been pretty sturdy from the beginning? Have you had a good reception from the beginning? Did you have to build that up?
It's grown. It's still a fairly small show, but I've told myself as long as people come out to audition and want to be part of it, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
And what has been really wonderful is performers coming to be in the vaudeville show, and then they meet someone else that's in the show who they didn't know about before, and they find they have similar interests, and then those people go off and make something else that's fabulous and exciting. And one example of that is years ago, a duo puppeteer group, they called themselves Puppets. They had made these marionettes out of old doll parts. And they had this incredible marionette puppet show with these pop-up book sets, and they auditioned for the Franzanian vaudeville show. And as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, there's my headliner. And they were in the show. Now, word got around town to this person who was a puppet maker who was interested in puppets, that there was a puppet show in the vaudeville show. And so she went to go see this puppet show in the vaudeville show, and she met those puppeteers. Well, they got to talking and started collaborating together, and in a year, 2 years, they created String and Shadow Puppet Theater.
Wow.
Which has now been going for many years, and I've been a part of their productions as well as a narrator and storyteller.
Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit about that since it came up. String and Shadow, they are a puppet theater and they do traveling shows, is that right?
Yeah, the last couple years they have, or I could say I've been part of it, gone on tour to the Western United States. We went this past summer. We toured for 5 weeks, performing 6 nights a week. We did the show over 40 times, I believe. And we traveled to Montana and Oregon and California, as far south as Santa Cruz, California, and as far north as San Juan Island, up there in the Puget Sound.
Wow. So it was a 6-week tour, you said?
5s.
5 weeks. 5-week tour. What was that experience like, touring with, how big was your production crew, cast and crew?
There were 14 of us altogether.
14. Wow.
14 in a remodeled school bus. Half the bus is full of the sets and the large-scale puppets. These are big puppets. These aren't hand puppets.
Right, right.
And then the puppeteers and the performers, and then we had one designated driver, which was very helpful.
That is helpful. So they weren't a part of the show apart from driving, or
Right.
did they?
Well, they did. They did help us load and unload the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this puppet show, what kind of venues do you guys perform in?
Well, we spend the first month in Olympia performing outdoors, always outdoors.
Okay.
We used a City of Olympia park this year. In times past, we've used Calliope Farm, and we've used Lions Park. Yeah, a variety of venues. The Isthmus, there was one of the first puppet shows they did was during the COVID pandemic lockdown.
Oh, wow.
And we did a drive-in puppet show, and I recorded the narration. They dropped the audio equipment off at my house, so no contact, you know?
Right.
And I picked it up and put it in my closet and recorded the narration, and then they created a show, and then they had a FM transmitter, radio transmitter, they were able to transmit the sound of the show into people's cars. So people didn't
Yeah.
even exit their cars. It was a drive up.
Wow.
Anyway, I go on and on about them.
That's a great idea to put on that kind of production for COVID. That seems, wow, that's innovative. That's
It was
great.
innovative. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
And so you performed with them this past summer.
Yep.
But you've been involved with them for,
I guess this summer marks my 6th show with them.
wow, wonderful. And they primarily do one show a year and maybe other projects?
Yeah,
or-
and they've been wintering in New Orleans, the 2 directors, Emily McHugh and Donald Pallardy. And they've been putting on shows in New Orleans in March as well.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. I'm going to have to check them out. But I've been seeing a lot of string and shadow puppeteer advertisements and photos, and I haven't seen one of their shows yet.
Oh,
And
it's delightful.
it seems delightful. And the puppets, I wonder how long it takes for them to make all these pieces, because like as you said, they aren't small hand puppets.
They aren't small, and it's all paper mache. The main puppet builder creates a sculpture out of clay and then adds paper mache to that, and the clay is removed, and you build up the paper mache. So there's at least 6 or 7 layers of heavy-duty paper that creates this piece, that like this giant head or these
Yeah.
giant hands or whatever it is they're making. There are a couple of suns, and there's a moon puppet. It's really neat. But they would have community builds. They'd have an open studio, and they'd lay out all the stuff for paper mache and just bring in kids, and parents would come in, and so the whole community would get involved to help
That's
build these
wonderful.
giant creations. Yeah.
So community is open to help with these productions and with building these puppets. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. And do you know when that normally takes place?
That usually the build starts in May and June.
And then you guys hit the road in
Usually
July?
August.
August.
Perform in July in Olympia and then hit the road in August.
Wonderful. Wow, that must have been a great experience. How was that traveling for 5 weeks with this core group of 14 people?
It was great.
Yeah.
And I was the eldest. And I was really excited that they took this old lady along with them. But we went to a number of the same places we went to the previous year. So it was great to see some familiar faces in Helena, Montana, and Alameda, California. We all got along really well. We all cooked together. We bought good food. We often performed on farms, and they would load us up with fresh vegetables as we went along. And it was a great experience.
Yeah, that sounds like it'd be a great adventure. So what was the show about this last summer, and what role did you play in it?
This show was about intergalactic space traveler. I played multiple roles in this particular show. I was the voice of the main character, who wore a large mask that looked like an old guy, played by Emily, and I was his voice. Captain Z was his name. And I also played the voice of one of the asteroids. There were 3 asteroids that were sort of these, like a Greek chorus. It came in at different points in the show to comment on what was happening. And I also played live on stage in costume the villain. I was the enemy of Captain Z and what was happening, and I was the emperor. And my character had created a black hole to consume all of the unknown in the universe.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And how did that work out?
It didn't work out well. The black hole got larger and larger. It was this big black hole puppet. It got larger and larger, and I got more and more afraid. And eventually, Captain Z destroys the black hole with the help of the audience interaction. And the world and the universe decides that it's okay with the unknown, and that sometimes the unknown is good for the arts and good for the mind.
It's a good moral.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sad I missed that show. That sounds wonderful.
it was good. Now, this year's show is called Or So It Would Seem, a giant puppet voyage into the unknown.
Wow. Great title. Great
Seam,
title.
S-E-A-M. And there was a scene in which a black hole is stitched up. Yes, making a seam. Yes.
That's so good.
It was
Oh.
good.
So you said you played the villain and then you played the voice of the main character?
The hero,
Z?
yes.
So how did that work on stage when you were, I'm assuming the two characters interacted with each other on stage?
No.
No, not at
The
all. So
Emperor
that's how that got.
never interacts directly with Captain Z.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's how they got around
Yes.
that.
And there's live music and there are live sound effects, and all of it has to be coordinated with the action that's happening on stage. And eventually, I was narrating the show from backstage and couldn't see the action. So we all had to rely on audio cues. If I heard the drummer make a particular sound, I knew it was time to begin the next paragraph in the narration or the voiceover work for the captain, yeah.
Right. That's it takes a lot of focus to work that way with a production.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was a fun challenge.
it was a fun challenge.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about another creative endeavor of yours in Olympia, Story which you created with local actress Amy Shepherd.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about this?
sure. This season marks our 10th.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
10 years we've been doing it. Amy Shepherd came to me and said, "Do you think anyone would want to go to a storytelling slam?" And I said, "Yes. And I will get people there." And she said, "Okay, do you want to work on this with me?" I said, "Yes." And we had a venue, which is no longer there in Olympia. It was called Rhythm and Rye. It's a beautiful, larger size performance venue / tavern. And it was modeled after, Story was modeled after The Moth. Have you heard of that? Mm-hmm. It's a national storytelling experience, storytelling slam, a slam being a competition. You've probably heard of poetry slams.
Right.
This is a story slam where people tell stories and a winner selected who tells the best story that night.
Wonderful. And so do you have are these stories about anything all goes, or is it confined?
It's confined. We have a theme for each month. It's a monthly event, and we select a theme, and we try to choose themes that can be interpreted broadly to allow people to get in there and tell their story. And we ask that the stories be true stories as remembered by the storyteller. You should be the only expert of the story that you're telling.
And so you've been doing this for 10 years. Do you have a lot of people who come back year after year or month after month and participate?
We have our regulars
Yeah.
that come, and then we have people that fall away, and then we get a new set of regulars that
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Yes.
I bet
It's
you
a
have
very
some-
popular event.
Yeah, I bet you have some great storytellers who come from this event. Do people come in ready to tell their stories, or do folks have to warm up more often to this kind of event and this kind of
A lot of
shared
people come
experience?
in ready.
Yeah.
We publish the themes for the entire season ahead of our first date, which is starts in November and runs through August. And so people know ahead of time what theme for which month, and they will think about it and give it some thought and come in prepared. That being said, usually we do an intermission halfway through, and usually at intermission, lots of people come forward to throw their name in the hat. Because just like with conversation, one person tells a story which then reminds you of something in your life, and so then you want to tell that story, and then you do, and then someone else thinks, "Oh, that reminds me of this," and so you get more people want to participate as the evening progresses. So it's pretty organic that way too.
I remember I saw the Story Grand Slam event back in August.
Oh, great.
And that was my first exposure to Story And I thought how wonderful it was.
At the Capitol
because-
Theater.
At the Capitol
Oh,
Theater
great.
downtown, which is a great venue for it. And it was pretty packed from what I remember, too.
I was pleased with the attendance.
It was a very good turnout. And I was just a little bit in awe of how much of an event it was without being a full production, right? I guess it was a production, but it wasn't
Right.
It wasn't scripted, right? There wasn't all these lights and sound effects and all these things. It was a story, and we were all listening to stories together, and I thought it was such it was a really pleasant evening.
I'm glad you thought so.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's the magic of good storytelling. You don't need you don't need a set, you don't need costumes, you don't need special effects, you don't need a fog machine, you don't need even underscoring. or music. Just listening to someone tell a story, a good storyteller, gets into your own imagination, and our minds make the pictures ourselves, and we're there with them, and we can see the events unfolding in our mind's eye, and it's just satisfying. And they're looking at us, and we're looking at them, and that's why I love that art form.
Mm-hmm. And it was also so touching to hear these stories and know that they were all true. That was a fact that I really appreciated when watching that event, was that, you know, these aren't just made up stories. All of these stories that people are telling, that some of them were crazy and some of them were more mundane, but all of them were passionate and all of them were real, and that just made it so much better. So I really appreciated that event. It was a great night for stories.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is coming up for Story Oli? Maybe what are some of the upcoming themes that you're excited about? And also, how could people get involved with Story Oli?
Yeah, sure. Well, we started in November, and we started with the theme Silver Linings. And then I have the list of themes here with me.
Great. Go
In
ahead.
December, we have Last Straw. And then in January, the theme coming up is Triumph. We have Triumph, Coincidence, Pursuit of Happiness, Finally, Bugs, Gut Feeling, With Wonder, and Wake Up Call. But I'm particularly interested in what people will tell with the theme Bugs.
Me too.
It was a suggestion from a longtime Story Oli fan, and there was a little tongue-in-cheek, I heard. But it could be interpreted many ways. Maybe someone will tell a story about an insect infestation. Maybe they'll tell a story about a person in their life that annoys them. Maybe they will talk about working as a computer engineer and trying to develop new software. Who knows?
There are options there.
There are options.
Yeah, there are options. That's wonderful. And if people want to get involved, how can they do that?
Just come to the event. Show up the third Tuesday of the month at the Brotherhood Lounge in downtown Olympia at 119 Capitol Way. Sign up for storytelling is just, we draw names out of a hat, so you don't have to sign up ahead of time. Just show up, throw your name in the hat, and then the storytelling begins at 7.
Great. Wonderful. And while we're on the subject, you brought it up yourself, of hats. I've noticed that you seem to have a little collection of hats from what I have seen of your life.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your thing with hats?
Yeah, I like hats. I don't know if it's because I like a unhatted head less, but this particular hat is a recent gift to me from my friend Anthony. It is identical to a hat that I used to own when I was in my mid-20s. When I was 21, I bought a hat from a thrift store in town. It was dark brown, and it was the brand Resistol. And inside the band, it had 3 X's and the word beaver, which I thought was hilarious. And I tried it on in the store, and it fit perfectly. I almost walked out without paying it because I forgot it was on my head.
It just
And
fit that good.
It fit that well, and I wore it every day. I wore it. I was lucky enough to be the speaker at my college graduation. I wore it on stage in a brown suit. I wore it all the time. It was impractical in the summertime because the hat's made out of wool, and I would wear it in the hot sun. I didn't care. I was going to keep wearing this hat, and I wore it to Bumbershoot, a music festival in Seattle. And I was watching a band on one of the outdoor stages, and people were doing something that I'd seen but hadn't tried, crowd surfing.
Oh.
And I decided I was going to do that. And so I looked around for someone that was bigger and stronger than me, and I pointed up, and they understood, and they made a sling with their hands, and I put my foot in, and I went up onto the crowd, and I took my hat off and held it in my hand. And then I crowd surfed, you know, and I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's marvelous. It's absolutely so much fun.
It does look like so much fun.
It is so great. You have to make sure you go up backwards, though.
Right. Okay.
because they're going to support you with their hands.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yes. Anyway, I loved it so much, they set me down gently, and then I ran back to the crowd to do it again, like a kid that runs back to get back up on the slide and go again. So I did it again, and then I did it a third time, and my hat slipped out of my hand. So I said, down, 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 and they set me down, and I looked on the ground, and it was gone. That fast. Cowboy hat gone. And this cowboy hat had meant so much to me. So I looked everywhere, and I just kept my eyes to the ground, and I searched and searched, and as I walked through the crowd, I'd say, cowboy hat, cowboy hat, cowboy hat. And other people were looking for their things too. There's like wallet, sunglasses, visor, you know. And we're all looking for our things, and eventually I get up close to the foot of the stage, and someone says, is that your hat? And I look, and there it is, on stage. There's my hat, on stage, between two monitors. So I get the bouncer guy's attention, and everyone's now helping me. It's like they want to get this woman's cowboy hat back. She's been yelling cowboy hat for the past half hour.
Yeah.
So they're like, that's her hat. And he says, hold on, concert's almost over, he'll grab it when the show's over. So I just watch that hat. I don't take my eyes off it. And the show ends.
Yeah.
They play their last notes. The band walks off. The singer stops, turns around, comes back, sees the hat, and he picks it up. And I'm like, oh, well, at least I'll know where it went.
Right.
With the lead singer of Cake. But then he puts it on his head, and no, it's not for him. He takes it off, and I have hope. And then he throws it into the audience.
Oh,
over my head.
No.
So the concert ended, and I looked and looked and looked on all the heads exiting to see if someone was wearing my hat, but they weren't. And after about an hour and a half, my friend said, okay, Elizabeth, it's gone. We have to go. And I went home, and my hat was gone. And then halfway through the tour this summer with String and Shadow Puppet Theater, my friend Anthony said he had a gift for me. So when we passed through Olympia, after coming back from Montana, he handed me this hat.
Oh.
It's chocolate brown, and it says here, Resistol, with 3 X's and the word beaver.
Oh.
And it fits perfectly. He got my hat back for me.
He got your hat back. That's just a heart-wrenching story right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a good one.
Thanks.
The ups and downs. Whew. Well, I'm glad that you have this hat now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same hat, but it's almost, you know, it's there in spirit.
It's identical.
Yeah. Wow.
It's
Imagine
the
if it
same
were
hat.
the same hat. Yeah.
Maybe not the same hat,
But it's the same
but
hat.
it's the same hat.
Yeah.
Anthony of the Olympia Hat Museum returned my hat.
Good old Anthony.
Yeah.
Oh. So, let's chat a little bit about, you said you wore this hat at your graduation. You went to the Evergreen State College, is that right?
That's right.
Let's chat a little bit about that. So are you from Olympia?
No, I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow. And how did you get to Olympia? And maybe a broader question, why Olympia?
Why Olympia? Well, I had planned to attend college, and I'd planned to attend college out of state. And my mother had always told my brother and I that the Pacific Northwest was the most beautiful place in the country to live. She had lived in Lakewood prior. She was married, my father was married to a man in the Air Force. So they'd been stationed at McChord Air Force Base, and she'd lived all over. And then eventually he was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, and that's where we grew up. But my brother ended up going to Lewis and Clark College, and I chose Evergreen because it was small, because it was liberal arts, because it didn't have a Greek system, and because it was student-designed education. So that's how I came to Olympia, to go to Evergreen.
And what did you study at Evergreen?
Well, just to back up a bit, I was a theater geek in high school. I was the president of the drama club, and I happened to go to a show at our local library. The Charleston Library had a theater, and this group of traveling storytellers came. It was an event much like the events I put on today, Storioli, the Grand Slam, all these storytellers took the stage, and I was transfixed by what they were doing, that it was so entertaining, like you had said, so entertaining, and all they were doing was talking. And as I watched that, my ambitions in life shifted. I had thought I'd be a professional actor, that I'd moved to Los Angeles, but I knew you had to be beautiful and thin, and I knew that I wasn't going to stay beautiful and I wasn't going to stay thin. I saw my mom and dad. And I knew it would be a struggle. I heard Hollywood was really challenging, but I loved performing. And I saw the storytellers and I was like, I could do that. It doesn't matter what you look like. I know that seems shallow, but that was my thought when I was 18. So I came to Evergreen, and the class that I took was called Truth to Tell, Orality and Literacy. It was a comparison between the two types of cultures and two ways of thinking. Oral cultures and literate cultures, and how they are similar and different. Mm-hmm. And it was a focus on storytelling, on oral storytelling. And I was off and running. I fell in love with the art of storytelling. I joined the Olympia Storytellers Guild, and I met all kinds of storytellers that I still know today. And I started performing as a storyteller and started going to elementary schools and different places like that, and telling folk tales primarily. I fell in love with reviving old folk tales that are now just in print, but now speaking them out loud and telling those stories. I'm not alone in this passion. All the people in the Storytelling Guild had the same passion. And so when it came time for the school to choose the student speaker for graduation, they had auditions.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I thought, okay. Since I was a freshman in college, I wanted to be the speaker. So I went to this audition, and I'm like, I know how to audition, because I'd been in lots of plays, still doing lots of theater, and I got up there and told a story. That was my speech.
Yeah. And
it went over very well. The people there that voted and decided who would be the speaker chose the storyteller. Mm-hmm. And so I got to tell a story to the entire graduating class in my cowboy hat, like I mentioned earlier.
In the brown suit.
Yeah. So yeah, since then it's just been my passion. After college, I did have a day job, but my goal was to not have a job, but just work in the arts. Mm-hmm. And I found it quite challenging to find enough money to live on in the arts without having, you have to compromise so often. So I couldn't support myself on storytelling gigs alone. I often taught. I did a lot of children's theater projects, and I taught a lot of improv classes to students. And in fact, one of those students is now my tech director for the vaudeville show.
Oh, wow.
So I've worked in the arts a lot. I've been in a number of theater companies. I used to help manage the Midnight Sun Performance Space, which no longer exists in downtown Olympia. And then, Storioli began. So I still perform, and I still am hired to tell stories. And every couple years I put on my own solo storytelling show. And it's been a very satisfying career.
I am wondering, you have all of these creative endeavors that you take on, and how do you maintain your creativity and imagination, especially in today's world with so much, manufactured information and stories that aren't real your own? How do you maintain your imagination and keep it flowing for all of these creative endeavors?
To me, it's just easy,
Just kind of
just
natural.
I try to stay true to myself, be honest about it, honest with what I find entertaining or what I find funny. I like things that are genuine. Yeah.
And I'd like to talk a little bit about before college. What were some of your earlier influences in the arts and performing arts and storytelling, acting? What inspired you when you were younger to pursue the creative world and the arts?
I have a friend, a woman named Debbie Eden, and Debbie might have been on the show, I don't know. Debbie is the director of the Heart Sparkle Players, a local playback theater troupe, improvisational playback theater, of which I'm also a member. And she has always said of herself, it's on stage where she feels most comfortable. And I agree with her. There's an ease that I have once I'm on stage. And I don't know if that's true for all performers, but if that's where you feel most comfortable, you're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep seeking that comfortable place, that place that feels good. So prior to college, prior to high school, there's a lot of satisfaction I had from drawing attention to myself. I think a number of performers have had that experience, being the class clown, they'll say, or doing the strange thing at the family dinner that causes everyone to laugh. I can't speak to any specific moment, though. I just knew that always felt good. So.
Yeah, when you're in that zone, in that spotlight, you kind of get permission to be authentic, which I think in everyday life, performers don't get that as often unless you work for that. And it is a little bit, as a performer myself, I find it a little intoxicating as well to be on stage and to be there. It feels comfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And when you are enjoying what you're doing on stage and you know you're doing it well and you know the audience is right there with you, that they are also enjoying it, it's magical.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'd like to wrap up a little bit with some questions about your regular life. Do you do anything that's not creative? Do you take breaks from these creative endeavors and pursue other hobbies?
Well, I like collages. I make paper collages.
Collaging.
Yeah.
That's a great hobby.
I love crossword puzzles. Mm-hmm. And I love reading novels. Yeah, that's about.
That's the extent of it. I mean, it sounds like you keep pretty busy with all of your creative things. I wouldn't imagine that you have too many other things in the back burner apart from that.
No. I also dabble with graphic arts and making posters and things. That's fun for me.
Mm-hmm. Tell me really quickly about the poster for the vaudeville show. Can you tell me who made that?
Yeah. I put that together. But what's exciting about that poster is I was looking for, like I said, we were emulating early 20th century vaudeville show titles. And I wanted something that was really circusy and old-fashioned. And there is a Library of Congress digital archive. And they have all of these images from real posters and banners from that era that have been digitized, and they're in the public domain. So I looked through all kinds of different images. It's so much fun. I recommend anyone, if you've got a few hours, just to go online to the Library of Congress and go to their image library. It's fascinating. Anyway, that's why I found the image for that poster with that man with the tooth missing.
Teeth.
Yeah, he's a little.
It's a great image.
Yeah.
Everyone who I've shown that poster to says that too. Good work on that, because it is a great poster.
Cool. I like that poster. I keep using it, hoping to cause a brand. I don't know. They talk about branding. I thought, well, if I use the same poster every year, people will be like, oh yeah, that show.
Mm-hmm. It definitely sticks in the brain. I've definitely had conversations with people in Olympia, and I'll tell them, have you seen this vaudeville show that's been happening? And they say, oh, I don't know about that. And I say, it's the poster with the man who's laughing and the teeth. And they go, oh, I have seen that poster.
I worry that most people I encounter don't know what the word vaudeville means. So
some of them
that's
don't.
been problematic.
Yeah. But they'll learn. They'll come to the show and they'll find out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to chat about?
I'm really happy this show's happening and highlighting what people are doing here in Thurston County. There's
Me
a
too.
lot of creativity in the Olympia area, and people should check it out.
I agree. If you'd like to learn more about Elizabeth Lord, you can go to professionaltalker.com and check out all of the info she has on her website. Thank you, Elizabeth, for
Thank you,
chatting.
Isabel. It's been great.